This is a pretty hot area for crack and heroin.
There's a dark scourge enveloping the American Midwest.
All right, can everyone keep their hands up? Don't be digging around, guy.
Every night, drug agents take to the streets in a desperate fight against the rising flow of heroin from south of the border.
Just spin around, put your hands in the back of your head.
A war on drugs that has no end. A battle even the police know can never be won.
Anything illegal in you, though? Nothing?
Nearly 500,000 Americans are thought to be addicted to heroin, and Nicole is one of them. Locked up in the county jail for stealing to feed her habit.
There's a very, very large epidemic of it. I don't think these police officers know how bad it really is out there. I really don't. If they even knew half of what we went through a day, I think there'd be more police officers.
Chicago is a hub for heroin from the Mexican drug cartels. The L-Train Green Line leads directly to the open-air drug markets down on the west side. We went undercover, traveling with addicts who make this trip every day. They agree to be filmed as they make their deal.
Hey, what up? Yeah.
Jason phones his contact. He wants 2 bags of heroin. Each one costs just $10.
This is a very, very, very dangerous place. I mean, very dangerous.
He tells me to keep quiet, saying he'll introduce me as Mike. This is how quick and easy it is to buy heroin in Chicago.
This is my boy Mike, man. All right, Mike.
The addicts cook the powder. Syringes are filled. Preparing a drug that's now the same price as a 6-pack of beer and cheaper than cigarettes. Chasing a high that's ever harder to reach. Greg and Stacy live rough here. Lower Wacker Drive, home to Chicago's destitute for nearly a century. Stacy first took heroin when she was just 11. Now the two of them live like husband and wife in this subterranean netherworld. Partners, addicts, and the parents of 3 young boys.
I think about them every day. It's just, I try to just numb it with this dope, but it's just hard, man. I love my kids. They just want mommy and daddy to love them, you know? And I can't be there in this state like this. And that's the hardest thing, being out here, dealing with that.
Chicago's West Side has been ground down by neglect, drugs, and crime. Residents talk openly about the narcotics on sale. Of 4 people who stopped to ask what we were filming, all said they'd taken heroin.
It was the best high I had ever experienced at that age.
How old were you?
I was 24.
Right.
I was 24 at the time.
Well, when I first tried it,
41 now.
I was the age of 13.
You were 13?
I was 13 when I first tried it. I didn't do alcohol. I didn't smoke marijuana. I just did heroin.
Hard. I've been on different programs, trying to get off of it. Been to jail, all that. See, when you go to jail, most people, that's why they in jail. It's not because they want.
You get arrested for buying or
You
for
get arrested for doing things
possession.
to get it. Theft.
Of course, because you've got to get the money.
Right, to get the money. To buy all my cases are theft cases.
With production of Mexican heroin up more than 600% in the last 10 years, it's now cheaper and easier to use than prescription drugs. We're on one of the main streets in the west side of Chicago, and as you can see, a police vehicle undercover has pulled over. Some plainclothes detectives have stopped 4 young men. They've handcuffed them together and they've been searching through their pockets. They've been clearly asking them whether they're involved in the drugs trade, which is pretty prolific along this area. And there seems to be an ongoing discussion at the moment as to whether or not they have been selling drugs. One man's taken away, the rest are released. It's not as if the police aren't here, they just seem to face daunting odds as heroin moves out from the inner city to the suburbs and rural areas.
I've been doing this for 30 years in virtually every corner of this country, and if anything can be likened to a weapon of mass destruction on a family, on a community, on society, it's heroin. And I just don't understand why people across the board don't see its danger. It stresses community values, it ruins families, it takes even affluent families to bankruptcy. Social services are overwhelmed, our healthcare services are overwhelmed, and yet Mexican organized crime and street gangs make billions from it.
Nearly 5 million Americans have tried heroin. The biggest increase in users is among the young.
Wow, I haven't been here in a while. Never been out here sober, that's for damn sure.
Stephen Lenardi was raised in the middle-class suburbs that surround Chicago. His dad's an attorney. He started using heroin when he was 18. He's been clean for over a year now, but this is where he used to come to get his fix.
Well, like during my worst times, I was spending a couple $100s a day, approximately, which is 25-ish bags. That's a lot, obviously. And then
for some people, 1 bag is 1 injection.
Yeah, but I mean, as you build a tolerance very, very quickly. So right now, 1 bag could kill me.
And heroin's killing growing numbers of young Americans. This is Stephanie Chiakas. Her family made this video in her honor.
Fly, little wing, fly beyond imagining.
She was just 17 when she overdosed on heroin.
I went to kiss her and she was ice cold. I just dropped to my knees and I couldn't breathe or anything. It was just terrible. See my daughter laying there. She was an honor roll student. It was the worst thing in the world. It was like somebody ripped my gut out and threw it out on the street.
It's a year since Ken buried his daughter. It's 4 decades since America launched its war on drugs. Despite numerous high-profile arrests and billions of dollars spent, there's not much evidence that victory is at hand.
I love you. Miss you so much.
Ian Pannel, BBC News, in Chicago, Illinois.